6 months ago, I told my 20-person engineering team we're going all in on AI. Every developer, every workflow, no exceptions. If you lead an engineering team, you're probably wrestling with the exact same decision right now. Your CEO wants AI, your board wants AI, but what actually happens when you push a real team to adopt it? Here is what most people will tell you. Turn on Copilot, ship twice as fast. But that's not what actually happened. AI didn't eliminate the work, it redistributed the work. Writing code got faster, but everything around code got harder. I lead a team that ships to production with AI daily. So this isn't hypothetical. We have 6 months of real data. Here is what I'll cover: the actual numbers on velocity and quality, and why they don't tell the story you would expect. Why the exact same tools worked brilliantly in one repository and barely worked in another. What happened to team dynamics that nobody predicted, and what I would do completely differently if I were to start over. Let's start with what you actually clicked for. Did AI make us faster? Let me give you real numbers. One of our projects, 3 engineers, 7 months, and 500 pull requests merged. That's about 24 PRs per person per month. 86% of those PRs merged in under an hour. And here is the kicker. In month 1, we shipped 49 PRs. By month 7, same team, 149 PRs. 3 times the output. So yes, faster, but here is what numbers don't show. The gains got eaten by costs nobody warned us about. First, planning. AI executes fast, like really fast, but it needs clear direction. If you give it a vague plan, you get a vague code out, just much faster. Garbage in, garbage out, but 10 times faster. So we started investing a lot more time upfront into planning phase, because we had to. Second, QA. The AI-generated code actually needs more scrutiny before it gets merged, not less. The review burden went up. The code looks plausible, but totally unfamiliar. More pull requests and more volume within pull requests. It's harder to review than the code that person wrote themselves. So first step was to add AI as part of the code review. So we added AI code review as part of the pull request process. That helped with volume, but the real unlock was building a self-checking loop. Early on, we figured you need the AI to validate its own work. We set it up such that an agent runs linters after every change it makes, just like your editor. Once it's done the full feature implementation, it builds the app, starts the dev server, and then opens the browser and does testing. And that loop had to exist before anything else worked. And then there were process gaps. Database management on local was painful. The AI couldn't figure out the migration lifecycle, when to create a migration, when to reset, or when to create a new one. If it created a migration and then applied it as part of the feature development, later on as part of the same feature you change your mind and wanted to change the database schema, it would try to create a new migration. Wrong move, you're still on local. What you should be doing is reset your state and then create new migration and then apply it again. It just couldn't figure out. So we had to define that process explicitly. So here is the real takeaway. Before you roll out AI to your team, don't ask which tool should we use as the team. Ask where will the bottleneck shift, because it won't be right in the code. This is exactly what we diagnosed first with the team at Team Brilliant, where the bottleneck actually shifts. If you're starting to think about this for your org, I'll drop a link below. But here is what those numbers hide. On some code bases, AI agents were just amazing. 86% of pull requests merged under an hour. On others, same team, same tools, and they were nearly useless. And the difference wasn't the people, it was the code. Here is something nobody talks about. Not every code base is ready for AI agents, and difference in results is massive. It comes down to one question: can AI agent verify its own work on multiple levels? Think about as a spectrum. On one end, we have an API service with a database. Agent writes code, hits the endpoint, verifies its own work, checks the database. Full feedback loop. The agent can actually verify the feature. On that kind of code base, our agents were shipping features almost autonomously. In the middle, you have web apps. The agent can open a web browser, and we used MCP for that, and actually verify what it built and what it built worked. It's not as clean as running tests, but that feedback loop exists and it does help. Agents are productive there. On the other end, mobile apps. Visual feedback is hard, and there is no easy way for agents to test what they've built. And when agents cannot verify what they've built, they're just like fast typers that break stuff. That particular project felt barely any faster. Same team, same tools, but different code bases. And the variable was the actual feedback loop. So before any AI rollout, you need to build those loops. We hooked Claude Code to lint after every edit, just like your editor would. We told AI agents to build the app after significant changes, and we gave them access to check their own state, query the database, check the API endpoints, inspect logs in the running app, and when ready, open a browser and test. We actually built a Claude Code skill called Tab Audit that scans the repo and assesses the readiness of the codebase to be worked on by AI agent. Full readiness means agent can implement a feature, run tests, and does the full end-to-end testing verification. Partial means it can do some of that, and minimal means it can write code but cannot check what it wrote. And that score told us exactly where to invest before we even started. And here is the part that compounds. We built a retrospective skill that captures every time an agent gets stuck or fails. Those learnings feed back into the agent instructions. The system gets smarter every week. The team teaches the AI agent how to work in their own codebase. Remember those numbers in the beginning? 49 PRs in the first month, 149 PRs by month 7. That's not because the team got faster. That's because the agent became almost autonomous. Every feedback loop we built, every instruction we updated, it all compounded to make the exact same team of 3 engineers produce 3 times more output. Ask yourself, can AI write code, run tests, and check their own work without human in the loop? If the answer is no, that's your first investment. Fix the feedback loop. But here is the thing. Even with the right feedback loops on the right code base, none of it really mattered unless the team changed how they work together. And that was the part that surprised us the most. Every AI productivity video you've seen is about one developer using Claude Code or Copilot and shipping twice as fast. And nobody talks about what happens at the team level. And that's the part that actually matters if you're leading people. The first thing I learned: lead with empathy and not mandates. Some people on the team were skeptical, and my instinct was to push harder, but it's a wrong move. What worked was embracing the experimentation and ignoring the skepticism. People come around to that when they see results from their peers, and definitely not when someone tells them to. And you have to celebrate the small wins. Someone saved 20 minutes on a task and it worked, or they tried a different approach and it produced like outsized results. Celebrate those wins. The small moments like that, they compound and create a cultural shift much better than any top-down mandates. Here is the story that actually captures it perfectly. We have one guy that's constantly scanning X for new tricks, new tools, new approaches, MCPs, skills, whatever, always trying them out. And the other one that is more fundamental engineer that starts from the problem first. They actually collaborated, and we had that separate time dedicated for discussing these things. This is where the synergy came together, and they were able to come at a pretty complicated problem together and trying these different tools, and they worked. So AI didn't just change the individual output, it completely changed how people interact and work together. On the process side, we automated code review with Claude Code GitHub Action, and that changed how humans review the code. Instead of reading every line, a reviewer would say, use ASCII to explain what this feature does. Read the explanation, focus attention on what actually matters. And it's a fundamentally different review process, and it's actually better. If you're seeing these dynamics on your team, nobody's sure what's working, QA's backing up, people unsure how to collaborate differently. We do free strategy calls where we dig into your specific situation, a link down below. QA became our single biggest bottleneck. When agents generate code fast, unverified code changes flew downstream. So what happened is that every developer now spends more time reviewing and steering the agent's work before it hits QA. The quality gate shifted left, so developers own more of the verification, and QA can focus more on what actually needs human judgment. And architecture conversations changed completely. We used to debate for hours on Zoom meetings and stuff, and now someone sketches it out in ASCII and then just shares with the team. We prototype it in an hour and then evaluate based on what actually works. And architecture becomes more of a conversation, not a presentation. One more thing. Every time AI generated a code that didn't fit our standards on the repository or didn't meet the conventions, the team updated agent instructions for the next time. So it's not a one-time setup, it's a continuous feedback loop. So the AI got better every week because the team was continuously teaching it. Watch for these dynamics on your team. The biggest unlock isn't individual productivity, it's how people collaborate differently with AI in the loop. So knowing all this, what would we do differently if we were to start over tomorrow? If I started this over, I'd invest more in the system around the code, not just the code. First thing is to define your product vision in a format that agents can read. There is a shift left trend that's been happening for years in our industry. Ops shifted to developers, security shifted to developers, and now it's hitting product. We should have written down our product principles, product vision, product strategy, roadmap in a format that is easy to access for agents from day one. When we finally did that, it unlocked a completely different level of productivity and understanding of what we actually building. Agents, they stop just writing code, they start making better decisions about what to build. That was a massive jump. Second, start with workflows, not tools. First, figure out how work flows through your team. Where does a task start? Where does it get stuck? Where there is a wait? Once you see that, the tools become obvious. We started backwards first by defining tools and then learned that that was the wrong order. Third, verify before QA or you'll pay the speed tax. Developers need to spend real time reviewing and steering agent output before the work hits QA. This was true before agents too, but with agents, speed is just massive, and any unverified work would completely destroy your throughput. And honestly, here is the question we're still kind of thinking about. If QA and testing shift in the left and the developer already verified the work, do you need a second set of eyes for the same piece of work? Or you can just ship straight to production? And the fact that we're even asking it tells you how much the process has changed. Fourth, think in system. Don't over-optimize individual tasks. Look at your whole delivery as a system and find the leverage points that will give you the outsized returns for your particular code base. What's the cheapest fix you can do that will unblock the most? That thinking matters a lot more than which AI tool to pick. Before your next AI rollout conversation, write down how the work flows through your team today and where does it get stuck. And this is where AI can actually help. And here is what 6 months taught us. AI didn't make us magically faster. It basically redistributed the work. Planning matters more, QA matters more. Your code base determines how much leverage you can have with AI agents. Your team dynamics change in the way you didn't predict, and if you want real results, invest in a system around the code. If you're figuring this out for your team right now, how to roll out AI, how to start, how to avoid the mistakes we've done, that's exactly what we do at Team Brilliant. We embed with your engineering team, build the feedback loop, set up the AI agent infrastructure, and get your team shipping with AI. Not advice, implementation. If that sounds like what you need, there is a link down in the description for a free strategy call. I would love to hear what you're working on.